All right, students, today we're going to learn about slope. And slope has two parts to it. Slope talks about the direction that a line is going, as well as it talks or gives a numerical value to that direction as well. So first we're going to just talk about the direction of a line. So there are four basic types of slope. And it helps if we think in terms of like bank accounts or skiing. So if I had a graph here, and this was my bank account, and my bank account was going like this, would that be a good or a bad thing? Well, that'd be a good thing, so we say that this is a positive slope. When you read a graph, you read it left to right like you're reading a book. So as I look at this, over time my bank account is going up. That's a positive slope. Whereas if I take a look at a graph that, as I read it from left to right, goes down like this, if that was my bank account, that would be a negative thing. So we say that that is a negative slope, right? Now, if we think in terms of skiing, if I had a line and I was going to go downhill skiing and the hill was like that, how much fun would that hill be for skiing? Downhill skiing, I should say. Well, that would be zero fun. So if a line is horizontal and goes left to right, we say that its slope is 0. Whereas if I am downhill skiing and the slope looks like this, not is such a good thing, right? If we think about that slope, and if we were to go skiing on that slope, we would surely probably look undefined after we skied down it. So a line that is vertical has a slope that is undefined. Now that those words describe the position, now we can give a numerical value to that slope. And when we're giving a numerical value to that slope, we use the formula on a graph, rise over run. So please write that with me on your paper. So when you're looking at a slope, you're counting how far does it rise over how far does it run. So if I start with this first example here, I'm looking at how far do I rise, that's 2, over how far do I run, which means go over to the left or right, that's 2. So my slope would be 2 over 2. But then I have to think, does 2 over 2 simplify? And it does, and it simplifies to 1. Then lastly, I have to look at that direction and decide, is that line positive, negative, 0, or undefined? Well, that slope is going in the positive direction. So in the end, we would say my slope is a positive 1. Now, ultimately, you're not going to have to write that plus in front of it because the number is assumed positive without it. But I wanted you to make sure that you see that I identified that the slope was positive because we can't forget that final step. Right? So if you go to the next one, again, if I'm finding the numerical value of the slope, that is rise over run. So I pick 2 points on the graph that I am going to travel between. And the 2 points that I got here, I could do these 2 points or these 2 points. It's all on the same line. It's going to give me the same slope. So if I count rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm seeing how far up do I have to get so I'm in line with the next point. Then how far do I run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my rise was 4 and my run was 5. Does that simplify? Nope. So lastly, I look at the direction of the line, and the direction of the line is going down to the right. So I would say that this slope is a negative 4/5. Right? For number 3 and 4, it would be nice if you have a calculator out because I want you to see the difference in your calculator. Again, I'm going to find my rise over my run. So I look at, well, how far up did I go to get from this point to this point? Well, I didn't go up at all. So then I look at how far did I run? Well, I run 1, 2, 3, 4. Put that in your calculator. Remember, the fraction bar means to divide. So if you do 0 divided by 4, what do you get? Well, you should get 0. And if you got 0, that would match the slope up here that we have, where the slope is 0. 0 fun. Whereas, if we take a look at the line in number 4, if I do rise over run, this time I do go up 1, 2, 3. But how far do I run? How far do I go left to right? Well, I don't go at all. Put that in your calculator. If you put that in your calculator, you're going to find that you get an error. And that error message is letting you know that this is an undefined slope. We can't divide by 0. And again, if we look at that line compared with the slopes up above, we can see that that matches. So any horizontal line is going to have a slope of 0 mathematically. Any vertical line is going to have an undefined slope. So if we look at number 5, without even doing rise over run, we should be able to calculate that slope. And you should be thinking the slope is 0. And you would be correct. For either a vertical or a horizontal line, at this point in time, it's okay if once you see it, you recognize it and just want to write the slope. But if it does not go straight vertical or horizontal, you would be writing rise over run. So again, I look at how far do I rise, which is 2, and how far do I run, which is also 2. And 2 over 2 is 1. And then I have to think about, is my line positive or negative? And this is a positive slope, so I would say my slope is positive 1. Okay. Let's try a few more examples together. Let's start with line A. Line A, I'm going to do rise over run. And so I'm picking the 2 points, and I look at how far up do I go? 3. How far over do I go? 3. 3 over 3 simplifies to 1, and is that slope going in a positive or negative direction? It's going in a positive, so I just say positive 1. Line B. This one I only rise 1, and then I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope would be 1/5. 1/5 cannot be simplified. And then I think about, is it positive or negative? Well, as I look at it left to right, it might not be going up by much, but it is going up, so that is a positive slope. Okay. Line A. I rise 1, 2, 3, and I run 1. Well, what does 3 over 1 simplify down to? 3. And then I take a look and say, okay, is that positive or negative? Well, it is going down to the right. If that was my bank account, it'd be plummeting, so it would be negative 3. Okay. Now on letter B, that's one of those special slopes that should pop out at you. A straight up and down line has what type of slope? If you said undefined, you would be correct. Okay. All right. Line A. Let's look at rise over run. If I pick, I'm rising quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I look at how far do I run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now with slope, we're not going to change it into a mixed number. We're simply going to leave it as 7/5. But I do need to think about, is it positive or negative? It goes down, so I would say the slope is negative 7/5. Okay. Line B, last one, rise over run. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I go over 1, 2. 4 over 2 simplifies down to a whole number. So if it simplifies down to a whole number, we can write it as a positive whole number. And then I say, okay, is it positive or negative? That's a positive 2. That is how you find the slope of a line on a graph. If you have any questions, let me know. Check Google Classroom for your next step. Have a great day.